Night school.
Night school.
Professional Hypnotism Manual by John Kappas. So the significance of John Kappas is that he coined these terms emotional and physical suggestibility. And before he popularized an understanding of those terms, it was assumed that around 70% of the population just wasn't hypnotizable. But it's traditionally the way that you give hypnotic suggestions. You know, I would hypnotize you, and then I would say, or like even as I'm hypnotizing you, the kind of suggestions I would give is like, your arm is slowly rising off of the table. And those suggestions are very direct and very literal. And it turns out that not everybody communicates with those kind of direct, literal terms. And so those suggestions don't work for everybody. So like physical, that'd be physical suggestibility. Physical is like literal, direct suggestions. Your feet are heavy. And then emotional suggestions are like, they're inferences, they're implications, you're insinuating something. So instead of saying your arm is lifting off the table, I would say 10 helium balloons are tied to your wrist. Or instead of saying your feet are heavy, I would say a stack of weighted blankets is on your feet, holding them warmly to the floor. And so I'm giving you information that makes you infer that your feet are stuck to the floor instead of just saying your feet are stuck to the floor.
Okay.
And so this book is significant because without that concept, like that concept opens up the market double. Before that, it's just like, oh yeah, 30% of people, you tell them that their eyes are feeling heavy and they go into hypnosis. And then after that concept, it's like, no, if you dial in everybody's communication style, you can hypnotize anybody. And
so he was the first one to come up with that idea, or to introduce that concept.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, to professionally and academically articulate that concept. Probably other people intuited before that they have to communicate with people differently, but he put it in a nice package. And then the further significance to John Kappas is he founded the first nationally accredited hypnosis school, which is Hypnosis Motivation Institute, where I'm getting my certification now in hypnotherapy. He also founded the American Hypnotherapist Association. I believe he founded the Hypnotherapist Union. He founded the Marital and Family Therapist Union. He wrote the legal definition of hypnotist and hypnotherapist. So as far as American hypnotherapy goes, he's like the pioneer. He's like the father of organized American hypnotherapy. He's from Greece, moved here as an immigrant, went all Gary Vee and started a bunch of businesses. And he was really into mentorship. And so he just found his groove in hypnotism. And a few other of my hypnotist teachers have had stories like that too. Like one of them always wanted to be an actor. And when he finally got the opportunity to be an actor, he was more fascinated by the fact that he actually did it than he was the act of being an actor. He's like, dang, I really made it. I'm an actor. But he'd be on set coaching extras and putting more attention into that than actually acting, because he just thought it was cool that he unlocked reality well enough to get to that weird place he didn't think he could get. So he would have extras in his RV, and he would be hypnotizing them and using NLP skills to teach them how to rethink their life and become actors. And he's like, I actually like this. So he acted very briefly. And there's there's the skills of being an actor and being a hypnotist translate really well. You have to be charismatic. You have to be able to imply that you have authority. You have to be able to grasp somebody's attention and hold it. You have to be able to communicate with somebody in a way that overwhelms them a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little theatrical.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I'm not talking about stage hypnotism. I am talking about one-on-one hypnotherapy. Like, you have to really capture somebody's attention. If you're boring, it's going to be harder to hypnotize somebody.
Right, because in the way the whole thing's a show for that one person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because, and so, yeah, let's just go straight into the concept of message units. So message units are basically units of neurological data. So you get message units, everything in this room. Like, this room's a little bit cluttery, so that puts unnecessary message units on us. Any thoughts that you're having in your head or that you're getting from your body give you message units. And throughout the day, you collect message units. Your brain becomes a little bit overwhelmed, and then you release and process those in sleep at night. But something that can happen if somebody is consistently exposed to too many message units is that they will become hypersuggestible because they will go into a trance state to relieve themselves of the pressure of the excessive message units. So some people are just kind of walking around sort of spaced out and overwhelmed. And if you tell them to do something, they'll just kind of and do it. People just exist like that on a normal basis. And that's a form of hypnosis. So Kappas explains in the introduction why we've developed the ability to go into the state of hypnosis, but it doesn't seem like a very complete explanation to me. He's describing how we have the fight or flight response. We also have the freeze response. Then there's something else that seems to be connected to the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, like those reactions, that just allows you to escape the complexity of the world by drastically oversimplifying the world in a sort of trance. And but I don't feel like the connections he makes are super tight, and it's left me more curious about that. Why do we have the ability to go into hypnosis? It could be because it was a way for us to make extreme monotony relaxing, so like we could preserve energy, right? Like once upon a time, we had to chew leaves for like 5 hours a day to get the nutrients that we needed. And so we would need to go into a really relaxed state, and our body is just focusing on doing that one thing, and the rest of us can kind of just release. So could be something like that. It could be, when we get attacked by a predator and we're just going to get eaten and we're screwed, we go into a trance state so that we don't have to be present and feel the pain going on. We just kind of space out and just drop out of our body. So it could be related to that.
Maybe.
I think that shamanic communities have been using the hypnotic and trance states for hundreds of thousands of years, tens of thousands of years. And the shamanic...
Are you separating those? Hypnotic and trance? No, okay. Just making sure that
I did kind of explain them or not explain, but mention them like they're different. But there's...
they just mean the same thing.
I think that there is... Yeah, I mean, I haven't specifically studied shamanic trances, but there's in the hypnotherapy course that I'm taking through HMI, there was an introductory course that covered the history of hypnosis, and it framed shamanic trances as though they are just a rudimentary form of hypnosis. And so the shamanic induction into hypnosis is to use overwhelming imagery, fires, dancing, showy storytelling to capture somebody's attention entirely, and then facilitate for them an experience that is transformative in some way. And that's similar to what we're doing as modern hypnotherapists for sure. And HMI considers it a primitive hypnotherapy.
Okay, cool.
So when you hypnotize somebody, you want to overwhelm them to the point that they are more primed to go into the state of hypnosis. But you don't want to do that by making them uncomfortably anxious. You want to make them kind of comfortably overwhelmed. So, for example, I asked Brent if I could use his office here for my practicum hours, because you have to walk into...
Sorry, for your what?
Practicum hours. Practicum is like when you're taking a formal program and you have to practice the skills, but the hours that you spend practicing are like tied to the program.
Okay.
So for me to get my certification and union affiliation at the end of the program, I have to have like 50 hours of hypnotherapy experience. So I just do it, and then it's all honor system. I just do it, and then I record it on the website. And
cool.
So I asked him if I could use his office, because you have to walk into the theater, you have to walk upstairs, down a hallway, down a weird hallway, and then it opens up into an office. That whole process would stack message units, because you can't help but think, even if you're friends, is this guy going to kill me? Like, where are we going? What is this? So it's a little overwhelming. And then another reason the office would be perfect is that there's so many books in the room when you walk into his office that all of those are message units, because you're looking around, you're kind of curious why there's so many books in the room.
Right. You can't process it, but you're seeing like 1,000 titles at once.
Right. Yeah. You cannot process it. You're not going to, okay, I kind of see what this guy reads. It's all just coming too fast.
Yeah.
So you want to be dressed very well when you hypnotize somebody, because it builds anticipation and suspense and implies more authority. The large amount of books would also imply authority. So the whole build up to hypnotizing somebody should be such that they are given the impression, this is confusing, but this guy knows what he's doing. So then they're primed to escape the excessive message units, and they also trust that you are the one to help them escape from those excessive message units. Mm-hmm. So you want to have your plaques on the wall. You want to give them multiple questionnaires leading up to the hypnosis. You want to explain hypnosis to them in a way that's a little bit confusing. You want to ask them a lot of questions about what they're trying to get hypnosis for. So by the time you've gone through that whole process, you are mentally a little bit like, geez, And so that just primes somebody for it.
Okay.
Now, let's see. What are you more curious about? Do you want to hear about... Actually, no. I see where I want to go with this. So let's talk about some like examples of inductions. Like, how do you actually bring somebody from they're in your office, they are overwhelmed, you have figured out whether they are emotionally or physically suggestible by giving them a questionnaire, and now you're actually going to hypnotize them. What is the induction method? So one example is I could start by doing a little bit of relaxation guided meditation stuff with you, right? Your feet are heavy. Start relaxing your body. Start getting you kind of, wait, no. Actually, no, pause that.
Okay.
Kappas is critical of progressive relaxation inductions, as in slowly relaxing somebody down into the hypnosis state, because Kappas is obsessed with shocking people into hypnosis. He seems to think that it's superior. I don't know if it's actually superior in the sense that you get better clinical results from shocking people into hypnosis rather than slowly relaxing them into hypnosis, but he refers to progressive relaxation as an abdication of responsibility in this book, as in the most effective way is obviously to surprise them into hypnosis through kind of a dramatic gesture. But people don't want to take on the responsibility of having to do that and being afraid that they'll fail or that it'll be awkward or weird or bad. So they resort to progressive relaxation because it's easier and less pressure.
I get what he's saying. Yeah.
If it's true that it's better, he's making perfect sense. If it's not true that it's better, that's just his style of a hypnotist.
Right. Could just be that he's better at that and he's putting that on everyone. I have to stop myself from that all the time. Like saying that one thing is better than another thing, but it's just probably just for me.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I really like progressive relaxation because I'm interested in helping people learn how to relax themselves. And so, like, I did my first kind of experiment with progressive relaxation hypnosis with a coworker of ours because we work together or for the same company. And I had him sit in a chair. We're property maintenance guys, so we were in an apartment that we were working on flipping. Someone had left a chair behind because they got evicted. So I had him sit down in this chair in this trap house and did a progressive body relaxation. Relax the feet, relax the calves, relax the thighs, relax the stomach, relax the breathing until the breath is effortless. You're not trying to breathe. You're not trying not to breathe. The breaths are just happening. Relax the arms, the shoulders, the neck, the head. His head started bobbling when we did the relax the neck or head. So I'm like, okay, he's pretty primed. So then I had him focus in really closely to the breath. We were doing a guided meditation because I was trying to teach him how to meditate, but he turned out to be so suggestible to hypnosis that he went into hypnosis, and I could tell because his head dropped and I had to order him to straighten his head back up. And so when he came out, he didn't remember what we did. And that's why I was like, oh, I accidentally hypnotized him. And it was really effective and really quick. It took 10 minutes to take him in and out. So,
wow.
So what happened was
this is the first time you've ever tried, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, I know how to meditate, so I figured I'll guide him through a meditation. It'll be really pleasant for him, and then he'll know how to meditate going forward. So, but I used a hypnosis technique too. So, I'm kind of jumping all over the place now, but I think you get it.
Sure.
So, basically, I had him do the progressive relaxation of the body, and then I had him start applying mantras to his breathing. So what I did was we had been talking throughout the day about the concept of unity because we were talking about yoga. Yoga is Sanskrit for unity. Talking about unity as a concept, what it means to achieve unity, what God is, the sense in which God is unity. We were talking about God's brand of love. And so I decided to use those keywords, unity and love, to aid in the meditation because we already had, first of all, we had already stacked up message units by working extremely difficult labor. We were hauling garbage out of crack houses from the third floor all the way down, throwing them in dumpsters and then dumping into the compactor and then driving back and forth. And it was hard, constant work while we were having an emotionally and spiritually intense conversation about God. So I thought my inner hypnotist is thinking a lot of message units stacked up here, and my inner meditator is thinking a lot of material here to use to apply to show him how to meditate, right? Because like there's a difference between teaching somebody how to meditate and achieve and experience inner unity, and teaching somebody cognitively about unity and then immediately afterwards giving them an inner experience of unity that touches the whole person better. So I figured this is a good opportunity. So back to the actual process, I had him start repeating the word unity only in his head when he was doing the inhale, and the word love only in his head on the exhale. And then I borrowed a concept from Shiva, an ancient Vedic and Hindu teacher, an ancient teacher of India, and which is a meditation. One of the meditation techniques he taught is that between the inhale and the exhale, you experience the infinitely small and therefore also infinitely large moment between the inhale and the exhale. So after I had him doing the unity on the in-breath and the love on the out-breath for a couple minutes, I incorporated in now in the inhale, between the inhale and the exhale, you're going to experience God. Love and unity are two relative names for God, but God cannot be named, cannot be described, can only be experienced. So between the inhale and the exhale, an infinitely small, eternal moment will occur in which you will experience God directly. So then, right as he started going to that, I pulled out a hypnosis tool. So the hypnosis tool is when somebody becomes extremely suggestible and they're extremely relaxed and you're ready to push them just over the brink into hypnosis, you say, when you feel a touch on your forehead, you will go into a deep hypnotic sleep, and you touch their forehead. But here what I did was I said, when you feel a gentle touch on your forehead, God will enter your body. And then I touched his forehead, and he started crying. And I left him there for a couple minutes, and then I slowly brought him out just by telling him, like, open your eyes so slowly that it takes 30 seconds to open them. And then once you get them open and your body is still asleep, then do the same thing with your body. So basically slowly awaken your eyes, then slowly awaken your body. And then when you're ready, slowly stand up. So that takes about a minute. He stands up. Say, you feel the urge to stretch now? Yeah, I feel the urge to stretch. Well, stretch. This is yoga. You've experienced God now, and now you're going to stretch, and you're going to deliver God to your body. Because when someone first comes out of hypnosis, they're still extremely suggestible. So the first thing that you say to them when they wake up from hypnosis, they're really likely to remember. If you tell someone they're handsome right when they get out of hypnosis, it's just, it'll just really stick. Mm-hmm. So I decided to take that opportunity to teach him firsthand what yoga is, what yoga feels like. So start stretching your body, and you're opening those cells in your body as you stretch your limbs to allow God to enter those parts of your body too. And that's not necessarily literally true, but it's a powerful visual. So he starts stretching, and he tells me that when he felt the touch on his forehead, he was with God, and God was hugging him and telling him that everything was okay. And he started tearing up just recalling that. And so then I told him, since he was still suggestible, still post-hypnotic, I told him, well, now you know how to meditate. Now you know how to access God directly whenever you need to, and you'll never forget how to do this. And God will always be willing to meet you when you do this process. So whenever you need God, just sit down and do what I've shown you. And I thought that I had taught him to meditate. So after work, I went back to that crack house, and I grabbed the chair, and I threw the chair in the truck, and I drove it to his house and said, here's your chair. It's good to have a dedicated chair to meditation. You're lucky enough you get to have the chair that you learned to meditate in as your meditation chair. So here's your meditation chair. He says, I don't remember like anything that you said. Like, okay, because I hypnotized you. So
Dang.
As far as I'm concerned, progressive relaxation is a really positive, gentle, easy, good way to hypnotize somebody. Maybe I just got lucky. I've only done it once, but I know that there's a hypnotic modality called rapid transformational therapy that only uses the progressive relaxation method, and they get great results. But Kappas insists that it's an abdication of responsibility by unsophisticated hypnotists. And I was listening to George Kappas today, John's son, who is now running the institute, and I was listening to him today in a lecture give a presentation about his father and his father's personality type, how his father grew up. And his father is a very dominant person. That's the author here, John Kappas. He's a very dominant person. He grew up in a Greek Orthodox community in Chicago, and they were so autocratic and patriarchal that their marriages were practically arranged. It's like they were a really tight Greek community that spoke Greek in this little community in the States. They were insanely hardworking immigrants, and it was like, hey, if you want to come over from Greece, you need to basically have a sponsor who's already in this Greek community. You come over here from Greece, we'll set you up with a job and a wife. And that's how it was. Whoa. So it was really autocratic like that. It was like, we'll set you up, we'll hook you up. And the dude at the top of the family just kind of hooked everybody up and set everything up, and everybody was good with that. And so that's the kind of environment that he grew up in. And so it's kind of his norm, like, yeah, okay, I'm in charge. I'm going to show everybody what's up. And he was a really effective therapist, but his methodology is strikingly authoritative. And so he probably attracted clients naturally who liked that approach and benefited from that approach. But I take his criticism of progressive relaxation with a grain of salt. So all that being said, to go back to general induction methods, you could start with the progressive relaxation. But John, he likes induction methods that are a little more direct. So, for example, you start to give somebody orders, right? So I'll do some for you right now.
Okay.
So place your feet flat on the floor so that your heels and the balls of your feet have equal pressure on the floor.
So many chords.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Are they about 6 inches apart?
Yeah.
Okay, that'll work. And put your hands in your lap. And go ahead and gradually close your eyes and take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, you'll feel a heaviness come over your feet. And now take another breath in. And as you take that breath in, the heaviness lifts off of your feet. And as you breathe out, that heaviness hits your feet even harder than before. And now you feel the urge to swallow. So why do you feel the urge to swallow? Well, because people swallow anyway. But when you're starting to introduce somebody to hypnosis, you say shit that makes them feel like you're in charge. Like you needed to swallow anyway, but just in 5 seconds of following directions, when somebody says you have the urge to swallow, you're like, yeah, I guess I do. And so you use little tricks like that to make them feel like you're now in charge, and you're slowly taking the position of their conscious mind.
Okay.
You're slowly overriding them. And then you could do something like, we're kind of in an awkward position to do this one, so I'll just describe it. You could have somebody put their arm on a table like this and start describing their arm as being heavy, and then start describing their hand as being light and like their hand is starting to come off the table. And you'd use a direct or an inferred suggestion based on their physical or emotional suggestibility level. And then as their hand starts coming off the table, you'll say that their hand is starting to come towards their face. And as their hand gets closer and closer to their face, and if I told you right now that your hand was coming off of the table, it wouldn't. But if I told you, that your feet were heavy and I started bossing you around and then you swallow, and now you're starting to feel like I do know what's going on and I am in control, I gradually lead up to something like this. So now your hand is lifting up and is going towards your face. And when your hand touches your face, you'll fall into a deep hypnotic sleep. But then about a few inches before your hand touches your face, I gently just finish and sleep.
Huh.
And so you have a buildup of message units. You're a little bit anxious and overwhelmed. You want to go into a hypnotic sleep because it's a great relief to do so. And the fact that I invaded your space without telling you by touching your hand to your face, your brain just kicks the rest of the way. It's like you're already 90% in control. You already pretty much have control of my whole physiology, and all of my attention is already on what's going on here. And I have the additional message units of the anticipation of waiting for my hand to touch my face. And so when you push it the rest of the way, I just fall out. Or another one is you have them put their hands out like this, and you hold their hands back, but you tell them that their hands want to push forward, but their hands can't push forward because you're holding their hands back. You say when you release your hands will start to go forward. So when you release them, there's already a little tension forward. The hands start coming together. When they're about 4 or 5 inches apart, you take them and just finish them and go, and deep hypnotic sleep. And they'll fall into it. So he liked methods like that for the initial induction. He didn't like progressive relaxation, but he did like progressive relaxation as a deepening technique. So you have induction techniques and deepening techniques. Once you get somebody into hypnosis, then you can start working to bring them deeper into hypnosis. And so one of the ways...
Okay, so not all hypnosis is created equal. You could be deeper or not very deep.
Yeah, there's identified levels. I can't remember the name, but there's like a hypnoidal and a this depth. There's like a few different layers of depths.
Okay.
And I'll get into more of those details later in the courses. But so one deepening technique, for example, if somebody's already hypnotized, you have them open their eyes, which is extremely uncomfortable. When you're that calm and you're that suggestible and you're that relaxed and you're that deep into your own head, opening your eyes is really uncomfortable. Open your eyes, now close them and go deeper into your hypnotic trance. So you pull them out and then push them back in, like almost like a judo move, like push you out just so I can take you the other direction. So open your eyes, now close them and go deeper. And you're like, oh, fuck this, I don't want to have my soul. Yeah, nice. And you sink deeper.
Because you're making them want to not close you're making them really want to close their eyes. So that when they do it, they close them super hard.
Yes.
They want them harder than they were before.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I know this isn't what you meant, but just to clarify, not squeezing the eyes hard, but more enthusiastically moving into the inner experience. And then he likes progressive relaxation as a deepening technique. Once somebody's already in, then you start describing how their different parts of their body are relaxing even deeper. You can do a countdown, say, I'm going to count down from 10 to 0, and with each number, you're going to feel yourself sink deeper into relaxation. Even if you feel you're already as relaxed as you could get, you will get more deeply relaxed as each number goes down. Or if they're a very visual person, you could do a staircase. Now you're walking down a staircase, down into a comfortable basement. If you know a little bit about them, you can describe a basement that they would like, and then they're going down the stairs, and with each step, they're getting deeper into hypnosis, and now they're deep into the basement, and they're in a deep hypnotic trance. So he doesn't like progressive inductions, but he does like progressive deepening techniques.
Sounds like he just doesn't want to do the work to deepen them.
He's just lazy. He just wants to
lazy.
abdicate his responsibility to deepen people. No, he's an intense guy. I've seen a little bit of lecture footage of him, and he talks like kind of like Joey Diaz, like this very like no bullshit, fuck you, I'm gonna fix your shit type of attitude.
Gruff, big city kind of attitude.
Yeah. But really, really friendly and kind, just like Joey Diaz. Like comes off friendly and kind, but just like, hey, what up, man? Yeah. So he comes off kind of scruffy like that. And do you have any other questions about hypnosis in general before I talk about a couple of specific therapeutic approaches?
No, I don't think so. That's good.
Are you more interested in a therapeutic, like what you can do with it therapeutically to help somebody with a problem, or are you more interested in the questionnaires for physical and emotional suggestibility?
I think I'm more interested in the questionnaires. I think that that's something that, because people do end up, myself included, we do hear about like different things that hypnosis can do. You hear things like radio ads about hypnosis to stop tobacco addiction or nicotine addiction. Mm-hmm. You hear things like that, but you don't hear a lot about the process itself. It seems like it seems so secretive. So I think it'd be really interesting to illuminate as much of that as possible.
Okay, so we can do a questionnaire with you. Do you see a pen? There's a blue one right there.
Yeah.
So we're going to determine your physical versus emotional suggestibility. And another thing about this that's cool is your suggestibility also corresponds with your physical or emotional sexuality. So Kappas
Okay.
also identified that some people are more physically or emotionally sexual, and he discovered throughout his clinical practice that physical and emotional sexuality types tend to attract one another. And then there's common communication problems because of our different conceptions about sexuality and intimacy.
When you say attract one another, you meaning into romantic couples? Like
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like opposites attract in terms of physical and emotional sexuality.
Okay.
So you'll really commonly have an emotionally sexual and a suggestible man and a physically or emotionally suggestible woman, or vice versa.
Okay.
And then they will have different ideas about what sex is, and they'll enjoy sex in different ways. And their sexuality types also translate to the way that they exchange, how do you say, intimacy and affection in general.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you your suggestibility and sexuality type. It's going to be a couple questionnaires. And
Okay.
then if you want to have Sarah do them too, then you guys could explore, like, do we think differently about sex and affection in a way that could make one of us feel neglected? Kind of like the 4 loves types, or not the 4 love types, the 5 love languages, kind of like that.
Okay.
Where it's like, oh, I'm trying to express love this way, and you're trying to express it that way, so we're missing. But we both love each other. We gotta create a process of translation between each other,
Sure.
so we can share this effectively. Same thing, but with sex specifically. So, but here's the suggestibility questionnaire first. Have you ever walked in your sleep during your adult life?
Only while drunk.
I'm gonna count that.
Okay.
As a teenager, did you feel comfortable expressing your feelings to one or both of your parents? No.
No.
Do you have a tendency to look directly into people's eyes and or move closer to them when discussing an interesting subject?
I think yes.
I think so too. Do you feel most people you meet for the first time are uncritical of your appearance? Yeah. You don't really fuck with that.
That are uncritical of my appearance?
Yeah. Do you feel like most people you meet are uncritical of your appearance?
Yeah, I suppose I don't really think about it much.
Right. Yeah. Because that's an emotional answer. Like physical types more think about like, oh, does Evan think I look cool? And your mind just doesn't really tend to go there.
Okay.
In a group situation with people you have just met, would you feel comfortable drawing attention to yourself by initiating a conversation? Sure.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable holding hands or hugging someone you're in a relationship with while other people are present?
Yes.
You lean no on that. I'll give you your yes because it's up to you. But
You think so?
well, for your first few years of your relationship with Sarah, you guys would have little arguments about that, like, oh, we're not affectionate when other people are around.
She had said that before. Yeah.
But you've come around on it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem, but I suppose I don't know where the
How other people-
line is
Right,
in terms
'cause-
of like, am I? What was how was it phrased again?
Sure. Do you feel comfortable holding hands or hugging someone you are in a relationship with while other people are present? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do. I do.
Yeah. Even if you developed that skill at some point, it still counts.
Sure.
When someone talks about feeling warm physically, do you begin to feel warm also?
I think not. I mean, I think not.
Okay. Do you occasionally have a tendency to tune out when someone is talking to you and at times not even hear what the other person is saying because you are anxious to come up with your side?
I would like to say no, but
I
there
know
are
you
those that
don't.
would say.
You don't. No, you're a very focused listener.
Okay.
Do you feel that you learn and comprehend better by seeing and or reading rather than hearing? So visual versus auditory. Do you feel that you learn and comprehend better by seeing and or reading rather than hearing?
I think so.
In a new class or lecture situation, do you usually feel comfortable asking questions in front of the group?
Yes.
When expressing your ideas, hey Evan, could you queue up a calculator to help me calculate these when I'm done? When expressing your ideas, do you find it important to relate all the details leading up to the subject so the other person can understand it completely?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think so. Do you enjoy relating to children?
Yes.
Do you find it easy to be at ease and comfortable with your body movements, even when faced with unfamiliar people and circumstances?
Repeat that.
My wording of it would be like, do you ever tend to overthink what you're doing with your body? Do you find it easy to be at ease and comfortable with your body movements, even when faced with unfamiliar people and circumstances?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too. Do you prefer reading fiction rather than nonfiction? No. If you were to imagine sucking on a sour, bitter, juicy yellow lemon, would your mouth water?
Doesn't seem to.
If you were to imagine sucking on a sour, bitter, juicy yellow lemon, would your mouth water?
I don't think so.
Doesn't seem to get you.
Mm-mm.
If you feel that you deserve to be complimented for something well done, do you feel comfortable if the compliment is given to you in front of other people?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Do you feel that you are a good conversationalist? Of course.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable when complimentary attention is drawn to your physical body or appearance?
I suppose it's not the most comfortable, but yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever awakened in the middle of the night and felt that you could not move your body and or could not talk?
Yes.
Yeah, but that was aliens. That doesn't count.
I think so.
But yeah, I'm saying yes. As a child, did you feel that you were more affected by the tone of voice of your parents than by what they actually said?
I think so. Sure.
I don't.
You think not?
I think you're a more literal communicator more than like, well, you seem mad, but you're saying you're fine. I think you're more like, yeah, you said you're fine.
That's fair.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. If someone you are associated with talks about a fear that you too have experienced, do you have a tendency to have an apprehensive or fearful feeling as well?
No, I think.
Yeah, I don't think
I think
so
I
either.
would get excited about that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you have a very like contagious emotional state like that, or like have other people's states be contagious to you.
Yeah.
If you're involved in an argument with someone, after the argument is over, do you have a tendency to dwell on what you could or should have said?
I don't know about dwell, but I certainly think about it. I'm not sure what you mean by dwell, but I do
I didn't
think
write
about it, and I do go over how I could have done things differently. But I think a healthy amount, and then I let it go.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Do you have a tendency to tune out occasionally when someone is talking to you, perhaps not even hear what was said because your mind has drifted to something totally unrelated? Not really.
Occasionally, anyone does, but
Yeah, you don't have a tendency to.
okay.
Do you sometimes desire to be complimented for a job well done but feel embarrassed or uncomfortable when complimented? No.
Mm-mm.
Do you often have a fear or dread of not being able to carry on a conversation with someone you have just met? No. You can talk to anybody. Do you feel self-conscious when attention is drawn to your physical body or appearance?
Sure. We're talking about myself. Sure.
Yeah. Self-conscious.
Yeah.
If you had your choice, would you rather avoid being around children most of the time?
Most of the time, I suppose. Yeah.
You wouldn't want to spend most of your time with children.
No.
Do you feel that you are not relaxed or loose in your body movements, especially when faced with unfamiliar people or circumstances?
No, I don't think I get real fidgety.
No. Do you prefer reading nonfiction rather... Wait. Let me see something. Oh, yeah. You're supposed to take both.
There has been a couple questions that are like almost exactly the same question as the other one.
I don't know if they're just trying to catch you or what, but if someone describes a very bitter taste, do you have difficulty experiencing the feeling of it? Do you have difficulty experiencing the feeling of it? Try to experience a sour lemon.
I mean, I know what that is, but no, I don't think I can experience it. I would say
Cool.
I have trouble experiencing it, yeah.
Cool. Do you generally feel that you see yourself less favorably than others see you?
Say that again?
Do you generally feel that you see yourself less favorably than other people see you?
No.
Okay. Do you tend to feel awkward or self-conscious initiating touch with someone you are in a relationship with while other people are present?
No.
In a new class or lecture situation, do you usually feel uncomfortable asking questions in front of the group, even though you may desire? No. Do you feel uneasy if someone you have just met looks directly in the eyes when talking to you, especially if the conversation is about you? No.
No.
In a group situation with people you have just met, would you feel uncomfortable drawing attention to yourself by initiating a conversation? No. If you are in a relationship or are very close to someone, do you find it difficult or embarrassing to verbalize your love for him or her? No.
No.
You can describe your feelings very directly. Okay.
That was so simple. So much of that was like the same questions.
Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, so step 1, count the number of yes answers on questionnaire number 1, and give yourself 5 points for each yes answer to questions 3 through 18, and 10 points for each yes answer to questions 1 and 2. So we're going to go to questions 1 and 2. Evan, could you please give 10 points to start with?
Yeah.
Add 60. Add 10. Add 15. So what's that, 85?
95.
Okay. And what was the total on questionnaire 1 alone? I didn't ask you to get that. That would be 60, I think. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70. And we get the number 74, and that is your physical. So you are 74% physical, leaving you what would be 26% emotional. So you're primarily physical, so you would react better to direct and literal suggestions. That makes sense, rather than inferred suggestions. But something to note about physical and emotional suggestions is that emotional suggestions are more universal. So I could get you with emotional suggestions too. They're more universal.
Okay.
But physical suggestions don't work on emotional people. They're just like, why? Like, my hand is getting heavy? No, it's not. But for you, it's like, oh yeah, my hand is getting heavy. You said my hand is getting heavy. It's just, so.
Are results like this pretty gendered? Like, is it pretty much like women are on the emotional side and men are on the physical side?
I'm not
Or does
sure.
it not really go that way?
Not sure.
Okay.
I don't think he said in this book. Now, sexuality. Okay, page 91. When you were between the ages of 9 and 14, was your father more possessive of you and or more physically and verbally expressive of affection for you than your mother was? Well, that's not fair. Parents were divorced as fuck. But it still counts as a yes because the amount of paternal versus maternal affection you get shapes your sexuality type. So if you grow up with a single dad, then it counts as having a dad who was the dominant caretaker of you.
Yeah, yeah.
So yes. When you were between the ages of 9 and 14, were you raised by your mother only? Were you raised by your father only? So
Father.
no.
Or I mean, I was, right?
Between 9 and 14, only father.
Oh, okay. Wait, what was the... I didn't understand what the question was.
Yeah,
phrased,
sorry.
but
I
whatever.
smashed them together just to summarize. It was a two-part question. When you were between the ages of 9 and 14, were you raised by mother? When you were between the ages of 9 and 14, were you raised by father?
Okay,
So
gotcha.
if your partner ends a relationship that you wish to continue, do you find your thoughts drifting back to your partner and your energies turning toward restoring the relationship to the point where you find it difficult to concentrate on other things? Probably.
I say
Wouldn't
yes.
anyone?
I'd say yes.
I can't imagine saying no to that. Would you be a sociopath or something? Is your relationship the number one priority in your life?
I suppose so.
She doesn't fucking watch these. Do you enjoy selecting and giving gifts to your partner?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Man, you're really... You're asking tough ones.
I didn't write these.
Okay, go on.
Do you feel that you demonstrate more outward affection and love toward your partner than they do towards you?
No.
Are you comfortable when your partner shows you attention or flatters you when others are present? Yes.
Yeah.
If you suspected your partner of cheating, would you lay more blame on the third party or them?
Them. I mean,
Yeah.
the partner. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Is it easier for you to express intimate feelings and attitudes than it is for your partner?
No.
Would you find it easy to accept your partner's children from a previous marriage?
Would I find it easy? No.
Are you more jealous or possessive than your partner?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. When you and your partner are having sex, do you desire to prolong the act or to repeat it? When you and your partner are having sex, do you desire to prolong the act as long as possible or to repeat the act immediately or following a short rest? Okay, yeah. So would you prefer a couple of encounters with your partner or one long encounter?
A couple.
Okay. Oh, wait, no, it was either. It was either. Do you prefer either? Well, yeah, of course. Yeah. Do you like more sex or less?
More's good.
Would you like your partner to approach you sexually more than they do?
Man. Yeah. What are we doing?
We could
What are
have-
we doing?
We could have done therapeutic modalities, but you chose the questionnaires.
I didn't know at the
Uh,
time that I
So
was.
did you say no?
I don't. Did I? What was the question again?
Would you like them to approach you more than they do?
This is a bit much.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't want to do this.
Oh, no problem.
Okay.
But if you want to borrow the book, I'm done reading it for now. So
Okay.
if you and Sarah want to do this on your own time, you could. And then if you want to let me know, like whether you guys got any useful insights about it, it would be good for me to know because
Sure.
we are instructed to use this for people who are in relationships. And obviously, it'd be a lot more comfortable in a one-on-one thing. I forgot how intimate these questions are too. But yeah, so you can just borrow the book afterwards.
Okay.
So, but now you know your physical thing. So, like, when it comes to whether somebody is physically or emotionally suggestible, that doesn't just play into what suggestions work on them for the sake of hypnosis. It also plays into how they express their feelings. So, if I asked an emotionally suggestible versus you, why are you here seeking hypnosis? The emotionally suggestible is more likely to give like a metaphorical or symbolic answer, whereas you're more likely to give a very direct answer.
Mhm.
So you wouldn't say, "I just feel like things are spiraling out of control," or "It just feels like I don't know where I'm headed." You know, you wouldn't say something vague like that. You would probably break as a physical. You would probably break down. This area of my life is suffering due to this symptom, and I'm hoping that you can do this about it. It would all be very direct. So if you're in a therapeutic situation as a hypnotist where you don't want to give questionnaires, then you can just infer based on the way they communicate, whether they're physically or emotionally suggestible, and go from there. Or you can just play it safe and use emotional suggestions because they tend to be more universally applicable.
Sure.
But you would almost always, we're instructed to always use the questionnaires because they give more specific data. They make the session feel more organized, which increases their faith in the practice, and it also builds message units to have to answer a questionnaire. And the sexuality type questionnaire builds a lot more message units because you're being asked questions that make you uncomfortable, and so it's like, and I think they get weirder. So my bad, bro, but it builds more message units because there are strange questions that are about an intimate area of your life, and so there's like more message units being established by that.
Totally. Yeah.
So-
I feel full of message units.
Do you? Deep sleep. So, one of the therapeutic applications of hypnosis that Kappas references a lot in this book is circle therapy. So in circle therapy, you use guided imagery in the state of hypnosis to bring somebody to an experience that has been making them uncomfortable. So like, do you have any kind of like fear or anxiety or anything that we could use as an example? Like if you were going to a hypnotist to have them wipe a fear out. Or an anxiety or a discomfort.
I'm pretty brave.
Okay, Evan's not. So spiders. So
I don't want that.
you could.
Someone will find this and use it against me.
Evan hates snakes.
We'll say,
You guys just need to be willing to say whatever on the show while nobody's watching it, because someday somebody might watch our episodes and we'll miss these times where we could just say whatever. and you guys are ruining it.
This is going to be our N-word comp.
But so exposure therapy, just generally speaking, this is not a hypnotic modality, is gradually introducing somebody to a direct experience with something that they fear to reduce that fear. Because when you intentionally approach something, you use a different part of your brain than when you approach something on accident. So Evan running into a spider and me asking Evan to start by just picturing a spider uses totally different circuitry of the nervous system. And so if you can get somebody to voluntarily expose themselves to something that they're afraid of, then you can change their neurological responses. The reason I'm getting distracted is because I'm trying to think of a joke where I gradually get you comfortable with answering questions about your sex life with Sarah on the podcast. I can't think of where to go with the joke. Okay. That's why I'm losing my train of thought. And so circle therapy is kind of like exposure therapy, but it's really effective because you can take something that somebody is afraid of and you can put it in a circle and you can make outside of the circle completely safe from that thing and inside of the circle exposed to that thing, but still safe with feelings of calmness. So basically you're using guided imagery to do exposure therapy in the inner experience of the hypnotized person. And as soon as they show any signs of discomfort, you say, now you've moved out of the circle. So you can keep doing that until they're gradually more comfortable in the circle. And what happens is that their feeling of relaxation and the feeling of anxiety they get from what they're choosing to expose themselves to are in competition with one another. They're in contradiction. And so one of them has to win. And so relaxation wins because it's preferable. If you directly put anxiety versus relaxation, the hypnotized person will choose relaxation. Say, now you're going into the circle where the thing that you're anxious of is there, but you're there with great feelings of relaxation. So you're also using suggestions of positive feelings to make the exposure therapy more pleasant for the person. So it's like an accelerated internal exposure therapy. And you could do that with recurring nightmares or phobias or past traumas. And so he references it a lot because he's like, and this is another place where you can circle therapy, and this is another place where you can use circle therapy, because you can apply a lot to that.
Yeah. On that note, Evan, I've been meaning to tell you for months that I heard about this app that is for making you not scared of spiders anymore, and it just like shows you pictures of spiders. So it's like an exposure therapy spider app.
Yeah, I'll have to look at it.
Will you have to? Will you have to
He's
look
gonna
at
have
it?
to.
Well, I've tried. I look at pictures of spiders.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I'll just Google them. I'll kind of start here. And then
Really?
That's cool.
That's awesome.
That's good that you did that.
If you can't hear Evan, he's saying that he'll look up pictures of spiders on his phone, hold them far away, and then hold them a little bit closer to do that exposure therapy.
yeah, and then
Smart.
also get like uglier and like hairier, bigger spiders too.
That's awesome. And he'll get progressively hairier and uglier spiders if you didn't hear that.
And then I can go to the pet store and look at because there's usually a tarantula.
Have you done that?
Yeah, I have.
Gnarly.
Wow.
So, at risk of just going into a rabbit hole that nobody can hear anyway, what physiological reaction do you have when you go to the pet store and look at a tarantula?
Well, it's behind a cage, or it's in a cage. I don't know.
Does it still give you...
Yeah, I have to like stand on the other side of the aisle. And then, especially if it's very active and moving around, I'll find it hard to get close
Wow.
and like look at it as it moves around. But if it's kind of just sitting in the corner, I can like get up and look at it. But then if it suddenly lunges at something or starts moving around,
And you just go...
I'll get away as quickly as I can.
Dang. So if you didn't hear, he's saying you go to the pet store, he has to stand on the other side of the aisle, especially if the spider's active. But if it's still, he can get up and look at it. Then if it moves, it kind of sends a jolt through him again.
Yeah.
That's interesting, though. That's cool that you do that.
Yeah, good on you for doing that.
That is genuinely brave to do. Especially because it's not that necessary to not be afraid of spiders.
Employed, if I can like hold it or something.
That's what you're working
That'd be
up
cool.
to? Holding one?
They do that though. Maybe one of the pet stores.
I think they do that.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
But and also I'll look at the spiders in my house too. They're smaller. I'll get as close as I can to them.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That's awesome. So, one of the things that Kappas says in the early on in this book is that he's presenting not just a style of hypnosis, but an unconscious behaviorism. He's also he has a PhD. He's a therapist, and he's so by a form of unconscious behaviorism, he's saying like a style of thinking about the unconscious mind and how to modify it in general. So like the emotional and physical suggestibility concepts. They go beyond just applications in hypnotism because they apply to your general communication style. And another chapter in this book that is an unconscious behaviorism thing that goes beyond hypnotism is dream therapy. He touches on briefly. We have a module on dream therapy as well in the hypnotherapy course, which I just took today actually. And so the Kappasinian way of thinking about the stages of sleep is that early on in sleep you have wishful thinking dreams. In the middle chunk of sleeping you have venting dreams, and in the last chunk of sleeping you have precognitive dreams, which can be prophetic, and they believe in extrasensory perception and prophecy and stuff like that. But they are also just referring more broadly to the attempts by the brain to use the past to predict the future.
Oh, okay.
So but it covers both.
So it's not necessarily premonition. It could just be running simulations and seeing what you think is going to happen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But it does definitely include both. They're definitely open to both. So if somebody like has a dream in the middle of the night that they wake up from at 3 a.m. that horrifies them about a past trauma, then it can be really encouraging to tell them that venting dreams happen halfway through sleep. And the purpose of that kind of dreaming is to re-experience and release those traumas. That once they are fully experienced and released through dreaming, they go away, they go somewhere, they're gone. It's not like all nightmares are going to be recurring. A lot of nightmares just happen once because that's the venting process. And after hypnosis, venting can actually happen more because hypnotists will usually kind of alley-oop past traumas if that's what the kind of hypnotism that's being done is, like trauma processing hypnotism. They'll kind of alley-oop the trauma to the dreams the next night and give a suggestion in under hypnosis that night and the next couple of nights you will vent those traumas out of your mind through your dreams. So they try to set you up to do it. And when people come to them saying, oh, I had a nightmare about this and this, if it was in the middle stage of sleep, they'd say, well, that's a good thing. You know, you're venting that out. And if someone is having a recurring nightmare, then they look at, why is this venting process not working? Why is this person repeatedly trying to vent this dream but not successfully getting rid of it? And so one of the things they would do in that situation is use a guided imagery experience under hypnosis to go back into the dream and finish it and see it through. So like if you bring your dream to a Kappasinian hypnotist, they're going to first have you break down every detail of the dream. Then they're going to put elements of the dream into categories, literal and symbolic. And okay, that's literally your mother, but she wasn't literally wearing a witch hat. There's some symbolism there. So we'll do this and we'll do this. That was actual dream that George Kappas shared today. So then these are the literal elements. Now these are the symbolic elements. Now let's go through the symbolic elements. What do they remind you of? What do they mean to you? Now we kind of have a general narrative of the dream. And now we're going to take you into hypnosis, take you back into that dream, and you're going to interact directly with the dream to ask the dream what it means, or we could see the dream all the way through and say that it's vented out perfectly, or we could just go into the dream and repeatedly experience it until it's not stressful anymore and it just becomes silly, and then the dream is vented and we can end the session and wake them up with suggestions of well-being. So basically, the Kappasinian thinking on the unconscious mind is that if we're going to be communicating with and speaking to the unconscious mind by giving suggestions in hypnosis, we should also be doing the other side of communication and listening to the unconscious by paying attention to dreams, taking them seriously, analyzing them, looking at what they symbolically represent, and also differentiating between wishful thinking dreams, venting dreams, and precognitive dreams. I don't know where they get the idea that those stages of sleep
Yeah, I am interested in that, like how well
don't know.
established that is.
I don't know if they got that from past psychologists or if that's their way of thinking or what. It does seem like a good chunk of this book is the personal philosophy of John Kappas more than it is like. Actually, this is a light criticism of the book. This manual is for those looking for something beyond specific philosophies. No, like this is definitely his specific philosophies. But then he specifically says on the back of the book that it's not specific philosophies. Like, I don't think you quite get how unique your perspective on hypnosis is. I think he's a little more opinionated than he thinks.
Sure.
Because he is a really aggressive, domineering style of person, and so he thinks of his worldview as just the truth, and like this is just what hypnotism is,
Right.
rather than
That's an easy trap to fall into.
yeah.
Yeah.
But at HMI, they're not like that. They're not like, oh, Kappasinian hypnotism is hypnotism.
Yeah.
We did a class on Ericksonian hypnotism. There was a famous therapist named Milton Erickson who practiced hypnotism, but he never did it through direct induction. He always hypnotized people gradually through conversation. So it wasn't that he did hypnotism, it's that he was hypnotic. And so people would sit down and say, I need help quitting smoking. And he would just slowly talk to them until he got them into hypnotism, and he would do his suggestions, and then he would, through conversation, wake them back up out of it, and they would go about their way and not want to smoke anymore, and they wouldn't even remember what he said about smoking. And he also had a lot of success with patients with psychosis. So he would do something with psychotic patients where he worked in mental hospitals, and what he would do is he would babble in their nonsense language, matching their mannerism and tone and volume and themes. He'd go, oh yeah, SpaceX, Disney, oh yeah, Ghostbusters. He would just babble exactly with them, but then randomly he would insert normalcy, and he would go, oh, and I'm Travis. And they would go, yeah, I'm John. And, and I used to be over in California, and as soon as I hopped out of the Greyhound bus, they started talking to me. I was like, and he'd go, oh, no way. Yeah, they'd do that to me too. And he would just start babbling with them again. Then he would insert normalcy. He would just keep doing that until they were more
what other kind of
comfortable.
normalcy would he throw in there?
That was actually the only example they gave.
Okay.
But actually they might have given the example of general small talk, but it was always very light.
Okay.
It wasn't like, hey, so are you okay? You're in a mental hospital. What do you need to process anything? It was just small talks like, hey, how's the weather? Oh, this is something grounded. We're talking about the weather for a second. Oh, okay. Now we're on artificial intelligence again. Okay, let's go there. Babble with them in exactly their tone and mannerisms. He would mirror them. But by mirroring their psychotic behaviors, but injecting normalcy, he could slowly inject more and more normalcy into the conversations until they were having normal conversations. And he had repeated success getting people discharged from mental hospitals by doing that. And so he wasn't somebody who learned inductions and deepening techniques and did it. He's somebody that he was hypnotic. He was hypnotic. He knew how to communicate with people in a way that led them somewhere and heal them and lead them back without them even understanding what was going on. And so we learned at HMI, we had a course on Ericksonian hypnosis, and then the next course was on Kappasinian hypnosis. And we're learning about other styles of hypnotism too. So the school isn't like dogmatic, but I think John Kappas was a little bit dogmatic. But his son George is running the school now. Cool motherfucker. And when he teaches about John, he explains this. Like, you got to understand, this is like a bullheaded, patriarchal, stubborn dude. You know, a genius hypnotist, brilliant, brought the field forward. Like, we got to learn from him, and we also have to understand that his personality type played into his style of doing this, and it's not the only way to do it.
Totally.
Something that you'd be interested in is past life versus age regression. I don't know if I've already talked to you about this.
Past life versus age. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like remembering you're a kid and remembering before you were a kid.
Yeah. So, because I think that you and me and Stephanie were talking about that. Stephanie's our sister. About using hypnosis to remember memories from the past, and also like what it means to use hypnosis for past life memories. So the general guideline that HMI puts forward, and this is just a side note, I'm done with the book, so we'll probably wrap up in a minute.
Okay.
But the way that the memory works is that it projects things onto memories before it stores them. It's not like there's a individual Akashic records bank that can just objectively give you every single memory from your life that you can access with hypnosis, according to HMI. So you can't remember something in hypnosis and use it in a court of law. You can't reliably remember a memory. If somebody comes to you for hypnosis to remember something from the past, they're extremely likely to fabricate memories because they're specifically going back looking for memories. So one of the reasons I got into hypnotism was to do age regression for people who had memories of alien abductions suppressed. And as far as I've learned, what I've learned so far tells me that it's not a viable tool for that. But
Really?
age,
I mean, that's what John Mack was doing for all of abduction, wasn't he?
yeah, I believe so.
Huh.
Yeah, I believe so. So that if that's what he was doing for that whole book, then there were falsehoods in that book. Absolutely, there were falsehoods in that book.
Oh, sure. And he definitely talked a lot at the beginning about how, like, there was a lot that had to get thrown out. There was a lot that had to get fact checked.
Yeah.
So he definitely did say that. Yeah.
For sure. But I think that there is probably a such thing as a hypnotist advanced enough to tell the difference between the level of hypnosis at which you would fabricate memories and the level of hypnosis at which you could directly access memories, because they are stored in there somewhere, but the mind projects things onto them. So my thinking would be the conscious mind can't remember them at all. Deeper into the unconscious, you can remember them, but with projections on them. And deeper into the unconscious mind, you could just remember them.
Just like experience them again.
Yes.
Like because like whenever
Just as they happened.
when you look back at a memory, every time you replay a memory in your head, it's kind of a different thing because you are looking at it differently because you're not the same person you were when you were looking at it. So you're saying like to really remember it is to really like live it.
Yes.
Yeah.
To go all the way back.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then past life regression is perfectly safe because it's not used for, it can be used for research purposes if you choose to go back and investigate the reported past life and see if the facts exist. But it's generally used for therapeutic purposes. If you want to use past life regression and then, okay, you said that your name was Jake and you lived in the 20s and all of this stuff. I don't know if there was guys named Jakes in the 20s, but then you go back, see if this guy existed. If you want to do that, that's perfectly safe too because you're verifying. But you don't want to accept past life memories as objective facts and act on them. You want to use them for therapeutic purposes. So like in rapid transformational therapy, the method is pretty much, what's your problem? Okay, now you're under hypnosis. Now show me where that problem started. Now we address that point. Now we wake you up. Now the problem's gone. That's their method. Whether you get regressed to an age earlier in the same lifetime or whether you get regressed to a past life, they just want to find the source of the problem and address it and heal it from the source. At HMI, what they say is age regression for therapeutic purposes is a last resort. Age regression to collect facts is absolutely never, not once, don't do it, too dangerous. And age regression for past life for therapeutic purposes, totally safe, might as well. Doesn't matter if it's not literally true. Doesn't matter if it's in their imagination. Take them back there and use that memory to heal them in some way.
Okay.
So, but there's nothing else really. Oh, yeah, just one more thing. Physiological considerations for dream therapy. If someone is experiencing repeated falling dreams, it's possible that their blood sugar is falling, and that's manifesting as a visual in their dreams. So you wouldn't want to psychoanalyze and say, oh, you're losing control of your life or something, because you want to first rule out physiological considerations.
Interesting. I certainly have that. Like when you're falling
yeah.
asleep and then you like after a couple minutes of closing your eyes, you shake back awake. I have that a lot.
I don't know if it's likely that it's a blood sugar problem if it's as soon as you fall asleep. But
it's
I don't
always
know.
like a right as I'm falling asleep kind of dream. Like
Yeah,
you shake
I'm not
yourself
sure.
back awake.
I'm not sure how that works because
Okay.
I wouldn't think it's a blood sugar problem if it's always right when you fall asleep.
Right.
But falling asleep might affect your blood sugar. I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Dehypnotization. I just wrote down dehypnotization. And I wrote that down because I just wanted to mention that there's people who will come to you for hypnosis who are already walking around in a trance state. So what you do with those people is you hypnotize them at the beginning of the session, hypnotize them pretty deep, and then wake them all the way up. So the only way to dehypnotize someone is to push them deeper and then bring them all the way out. You can't just say wake up from the trance state that they don't know that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to get them deep in and then bring them all the way back out and use suggestions to, oh, you're going to be refreshed, alert, conscious, clear, confident, present, ready to make decisions for yourself when you wake up. And I'm going to count down. So you use suggestions like that so that when they come out, they're fully there. And you want them to look like the light bulb is on before you do any work. And that's interesting because, like, if you're offering hypnosis to somebody who is worried about giving power over to somebody, you could explain it this way. Hypnosis happens naturally. It can happen if you're doing something so monotonous that you just space out and do that monotonous thing. That's a form of hypnosis. It can happen if you're so overwhelmed that you shut down. That's a form of hypnosis. So if I hypnotize you and show you what the hypnosis state is, you can do a better job of keeping yourself out of that state and keeping control.
Yeah.
So now you've convinced them to let you hypnotize them in order to give them more control. And that's not, I mean, that's manipulative. You're trying to get them to do something, but it's true. Like,
Right. I can
if you
certainly relate to
understand,
like getting home and then being like, I don't even totally remember driving home.
mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I'm drunk. I'm saying just like
No. But that's like
Yeah.
what mindfulness is about, is like being in the opposite of a trance state so that you're in control and present for your life and you're there for it.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, be there for it. Life is happening. Why not be there while it's happening?
Yeah.
And so that can be used to help people be comfortable with the concept of hypnosis.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Would you like to attempt a past life regression?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Close your eyes. Are your feet flat on the floor?
All right. If we're gonna really do this, let me move the cords around a little bit.
Can you?
My feet
Yeah.
are flat on the floor.
Okay. If I ask you to turn off this light, will you?
Yeah.
Cool, but not now. So your feet are flat on the floor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Take a deep breath in. And out. Now you can breathe naturally from here on out. Check in on your feet and see if there's any unnecessary tension in them. And if there is, release it. We often carry around tension that just doesn't need to be there, just out of habit. The jaws are really commonplace. Feet, hands. Tune up into your calves. See if there's any unnecessary tension there. And follow up into your knees. And on the next breath, fill up your lungs all the way. And then once you exhale, empty them all the way. Check back into your feet, calves, knees. Make sure they're still as relaxed as they should be. You still need to have a little bit of tension because you're sitting up. So there's going to be a little bit of tension in your legs, but just don't want any of the tension that doesn't need to be there. So follow up into your thighs. Make sure they're completely relaxed. And then up into your lower core. Feel free to adjust yourself in your chair so that you're positioned to have as little tension as possible in your body. Now, as your stomach muscles and your lower back muscles start to feel more relaxed, let's focus on relaxing your chest and your lungs. So remember that if I asked you to hold your breath, that would actually take effort. You know, you might think it takes effort to breathe, and it doesn't take effort not to breathe, but really holding your breath takes effort. And if I were to tell you to take a deep inhale in, that would take effort. But just between trying to breathe and trying not to breathe, there's a perfect sweet spot right in the center, where you only take a breath in and you only push a breath out when it's easier to do it than not to do it. And that's the perfect state of breathing, where you're not imposing any intention on the breath. You're just allowing it to happen. And realizing that if it takes no effort to breathe, it's really not you that's breathing. Life is just breathing through you. So now the rest of your body is probably relaxed now, because when the lungs relax, the body tends to follow them. But still tune into the shoulders, arms, and hands. See if there's any tension there that's not necessary. They only need to have enough tension to stay in your lap. Follow up into the neck and the head. Now tune into your whole body as one cohesive unit. And just check, is this as relaxed as my body can be and still sit up? Now, as all the effort and all the tension leaves your body will be left with a light electrical buzzing. There's always light electrical buzzings in your body, but you don't usually experience them. When you relax it completely, you can feel them more easily. So just feel that light electrical buzzing. And your heartbeat will slow. And swallow. Now, as the inhales come in, I want you to apply a word to them. And when you repeat this word, I don't want your mouth to move at all, because the word should only play in your mind. And it'll feel like that. It'll feel like it's playing in your mind. It won't feel like you're saying the word. It won't feel like you're thinking the word. It'll just feel like when you inhale, the word plays naturally. Almost like the inhale is a little violin string, and the word is just the sound that reverberates from the inhale naturally. And that word is wisdom. And so as you inhale and the word wisdom plays, you invite all of the experience of your whole existence into your awareness. You don't have 30 years of wisdom. You have all of life's wisdom. Life is one continuous tree, and you're one little cell and one little leaf on one little branch of that tree, and so am I. So you and I both fundamentally are that tree. So as the inhales come in and the word wisdom plays, you're reminded of that deep connection that you share with all of being. Now we're going to apply a word to the exhale. When the exhales occur, they will naturally produce the sound that is the word experience. So the breathing will naturally echo these words, wisdom and experience. And you'll find yourself gradually remembering that this whole project, this whole thing we call life, this whole exploration of our capital S self is about gaining wisdom and gaining experience simply for the sake of them. And now that you've reminded yourself through this meditation, through this process, that this whole project of life is about this kind of exploration, this kind of collection of wisdom and experience, you realize that there's not that big of a difference between remembering something that happened yesterday and remembering something that happened a couple hundred years ago. because wisdom and experience are one continuous thread that loop back into themselves. Now, you imagine yourself floating in space, and you're standing with kind of the posture of a crudely drawn stick figure. Kind of just legs are down, arms are out, kind of like a starfish guy just floating in space. And you see yourself just floating there, bathing in wisdom and experience peacefully. And even though you're floating there in space, you see that you're deeply connected with all of the space around you. Then behind you, you see another little figure, just a few inches behind you. Another little two-dimensional kind of gingerbread man avatar of you, but just right behind you. And behind him another, 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 and behind him another. How far back do they go? And in front of you another, 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 and in front of you another. How far forward can they go? Well, they link back into each other. One continuous stream of wisdom for the sake of wisdom, experience for the sake of experience. And every avatar connected like this, in totality, is what we call God, the totality of all wisdom and experience. Now, you ask God in this moment if, for the sake of sheer curiosity, it's all right if you take a peek at the experiences and the wisdom of one of those avatars before you, and maybe pick up a lesson that could be useful to you, or that could just be enjoyable, or just interesting. And if you don't feel God is comfortable with this, then we're not going to do it, because it doesn't matter. Either way, we're just going to go on gaining wisdom and experience. If we're supposed to forget things for now, then we probably chose to do things that way. And that's why we check in with God, because he has the bird's eye view. But if he's cool with it, we're going to peek back like dumb, curious kids that are just wondering what's back there. So if you feel that God is cool with that, then gently nod your head. And if not, gently shake your head. Evan, would you mind turning off the light? Go back. Now, wherever you are, take an experience or a piece of wisdom and pick it up with your hands and mold it into a little ball about the size of a pool ball. Could be like a picture that you crumple up into a little ball. Could be a person that you put in a little pokeball. Just find a way to pick something up and put it in a little package. And put that ball in your pocket. And if you want to experience the place that you are a little longer, feel free. But if you're ready, then take that ball and move back a little further and check something else out. Just know that you're safe, and this is merely an observational exercise. Nothing you're seeing has the ability to affect you. This is like television, like VR television.
I think I'm still here.
Well, your eyes are flickering like you're in REM, which indicates hypnosis. Did you see anything?
No.
Really?
No, I just saw earlier today.
Okay, so take 10 seconds and just gradually open your eyes and come back and be clear and alert. So, are your eyes watery?
Yeah.
When you first closed your eyes, they look like this. Then they started flickering when you went deeper, which made me think that you were primed to... Oh, thanks, Evan. Which made me think that you were primed to go back, because that indicates that you're in a state of hypnosis. Your eyes are watery like you were in hypnosis. Does your body feel like it could use a stretch? Like you woke up from a nap? Or does it feel normal?
I think it feels... Well, I don't know. Because it was very nice to feel so relaxed. Like my body does feel... I suppose I do want to stretch, yeah. Yeah.
Well, that could just be a suggestion thing. Like, oh, don't you feel like stretching? Oh, yeah. But Evan probably feels like stretching. Do you feel like you could use a stretch?
I always, yeah.
Yeah, of course. So, but the watery in your eyes and the flickering of your eyes looked like hypnosis. So what did you experience, and why did you nod your head when we did the Ask God exercise?
Because I didn't get any... I didn't feel that I got a response either way. But I felt that no response... I didn't see any problem with it, so I felt I'll nod.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, like, I got to do one or the other. I see no problem with it. I don't hear any objection from God.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So when we did your like an avatar floating in space thing, did you have a powerful visual of that experience? Or did you not really picture anything, but you were just kind of going along with it?
I was picturing it, but I don't think I was, like, experiencing it. Like, I was picturing it like I picture
anything.
a memory when I'm conscious
Right.
or anything when I'm conscious, yeah.
Right.
I don't think I was deeply experiencing it.
Right.
And maybe, should I have been communicating more
No.
during that? Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
No, you were supposed to just follow.
Okay.
So you weren't deep enough.
Okay.
Yeah. We just let's try it again soon with a Kappasinian induction and then using progressive relaxation as a deepening technique.
Okay.
Like he likes.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty much the exact same thing, just with different words and stuff that I did with Tyrell, and he didn't even remember it. And so, I mean, this is only my second attempt. That's how two different people can react to something.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll try a different induction next time.
That sounds good. I was very, very relaxed, and maybe if you did push me further, it would have worked maybe.
Yeah, more deepening techniques.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about attempting to hypnotize somebody with a progressive relaxation technique is the worst that could happen is just a very pleasant, light experience. But
I feel good.
The induction experience, like it's an induction, but the like the more shocky inductions, they can go so bad that it's like that's why people don't like to use them. And Kappas is saying, "Oh, you're just trying to abdicate responsibility." It's like, well, yeah, because like mom went to a hypnotist to get help with smoking, and the hypnotist like bopped her on the forehead like pretty hard, and it really pissed her off. It didn't hypnotize her, and
It's funny.
then she went and smoked.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, it sucked. I mean, she's like slapped me on the forehead. Like, it's really frustrating. Like, it was really annoying. I was really mad. I mean, if you really relax somebody and then bop them on the forehead, it's like way more annoying than if you just bop someone on the forehead. And that's supposed to shock them into a hypnotic state. But if it doesn't, then it's like,
Now you just broke my trust.
yes, exactly.
I was very calm. I was calmer than I'd ever been.
Right.
And then you hit me.
Right, right. Right. Whereas progressive relaxation, like worst that could happen is pretty nice.
Yeah.
And but I mean, I believe that you can get somebody deeper quicker with a shock induction, but it's like, dude, is it worth it? Like if you
Right. And even if
doesn't
they're
work.
not, if it doesn't make them mad, they could still be like you're insane. Like you're out
Right.
of your mind.
Right.
You think you're gonna hit me? What?
You thought I would go into a trance if you slapped me? But
Yelp will be hearing about this.
right. But it does work for some people, and like all of the shock inductions that they teach are not painful. They're not like because mom was describing somebody like bopped her on the forehead hard. But like the most dramatic one, actually, I'll show you one. This is really interesting. John Kappas demonstrated a shock induction, and the guy like went under so quick that he like flopped down in his chair dramatically. It's crazy.
Huh.
Chime is fee overdraft with Spot Me.
Yeah,
You get a
Chime.
little extra cash at the end of the month. It's there. Up to $200 when you set up direct deposit.
You go to Chime and a Bumble ad.
And you begin to feel the hands starting to pull closer and closer together. Closer and closer. Feel the magnetic attraction pulling your hands closer and closer and closer and deep sleep.
Whoa.
Deep sleep. Okay.
I feel like
Okay,
you
now
move
you're stuck
towards
to
the ground
chair.
faster than
Stuck to
gravity.
the chair.
I know.
Stuck to the chair. You can't come out of the chair. Deep sleep. Now just relax. Deep
So-
sleep.
Wild.
So for the two people still listening to this on audio only, he had him do the induction where his hands were going closer together, and then John Kappas took his hands and slapped them together and said deep sleep at the same time. And he flopped down in his chair to where his head was on the seat of the chair. He flopped down so hard.
Yeah.
But that guy is a somnambulist, which is a specific type of hypnotic subject that is also prone typically to sleepwalking. And when stage hypnotists do shows, they always explain hypnotism by having everybody do an experiential exercise. And they go, see, this is hypnotism. Close your eyes. Now your fingers start coming together. Now open your eyes. Are they closer together? That was hypnotism. You're slightly hypnotized. They do that to explain it. And then they do a stage demonstration, right? Well, the real purpose of the audience exercise is for the stage hypnotist to look out and try to find a somnambulist, because they're so much more suggestible. Oh, their fingers moved a ton. Then if that guy raises their hand, they pick them because they're going to be funny as shit. Because
Gotcha.
that guy in that video, he would have danced around like a chicken in the whole 9 yards. And so
Wow.
that's why that's how stage hypnotists do it. If you took 8 random people and put them on stage and did that, you would look like a fool. But if you have a good enough crowd that you can pick out somnambulists from the crowd who respond extremely well to the exercise, then it can look pretty freaking sick.
What is the extent of hypnotism? Like if the stage hypnotist brought someone on stage and then said, like, now kill someone, would they kill someone?
I personally think that they would. That is a very amateur opinion. Supposedly, their conscience is still intact, and the only reason that they follow the commands is because their conscience is cool with it, because they're just doing silly things. They're not doing anything like bad or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, well, my conscience wouldn't want me to dance like a chicken, I don't think.
Right.
So,
And that is the story I would say if I was a hypnotist.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, different hypnotists have different stories as to what exactly you could talk to a hypnotist. They'd be like, "Oh, past life regression is impossible," but most hypnotists are like, "No, yeah, it's real." Some say past life regression is just like visual imagery using symbols. It's just kind of a type of guided dreaming, and it's not real past life experiences, but they experience it that way because of their worldview. And if that's healing, then fine. But you'll definitely find hypnotists who say past lives aren't real, past life regression is stupid. That's just like on the fringe quack end of hypnotism. But since there's such different narratives on what hypnotism is and how far you can take it, I just have trouble believing that it can't just be taken all the way. You know what I mean? Like, because Edgar Casey, the most famous, well-documented psychic of all time, we did an episode on a book inspired by him called Develop and Understand Your ESP. He used self-hypnosis to do all of his readings. He put himself into a trance state and would let himself be asked questions, and then would bring himself out of the trance state. And as a side note, Kappas explains in this book that if you want to do self-hypnosis, you just use trigger words to relax yourself. Use the same word every time you do it. You're feeling relaxed, you're feeling a tingling. You use those same kind of adjectives every time you do it, and you can gain a good enough control of your body that you can put your body into a relaxed state. And you can put yourself into a trance and then take yourself out of the trance. If you fall into it, you'll just fall asleep. You'll recover through the sleep process and then wake up normally. So it's not dangerous, but don't do it before work. And but anyway, like self-hypnosis, it seems like Edgar Casey proved that self-hypnosis can be used to access all of the knowledge in the universe. And I don't think the average hypnotist will tell you that you can do that with hypnosis.
Yeah.
But
the average hypnotist won't say Akashic record.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Neither would Edgar Casey when he was awake. But there it is. I mean, he picked up information from the past and from other people that was impossible for him to have with any materialist explanation. So it's like, how far does it go? I don't know. And it doesn't seem like anybody at this school knows how deep it can go. You know, there's all the rumors about, it's documented that the U.S. Army went to the Monroe Institute in Virginia, and they had trainers that used hypnosis to teach extrasensory perception abilities to Army agents. So that's a possibility. And I think Monroe Institute also uses hypnosis to teach astral projection. And then you've got just down the street also in Virginia, you got the Edgar Casey Institute using it for past life regression and accessing like supreme knowledge. So could you make somebody kill somebody with it? I would think so if they had the right kind of suggestibility.
Seems like it.
Because they're so suggestible that they give them callback words, and after they wake up, they say a word and they go right back in. It's like, oh, but the CIA thing is such a good everything. It's like, well, this is powerful. We don't know what all this does.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's immediately where my head went. Like, could the
The sleeper
CIA
agents
be using this to like have people kill JFK or kill his brother or kill all the other people that have been killed by random assassins?
It seems to me that if you take the idea to its logical extreme, that's possible.
Yeah.
That's what it seems to me. It's not an educated opinion, though. That's a conspiracy theorist spitballing opinion. But, I mean, the reason I take it to its logical extreme is that everybody applies a ceiling to hypnosis that to me appears to be arbitrary. So,
yeah.
Night school?
Night school.